Okie hello. I'm going to do a quick introduction to the heat transfer method of mixing our sodium hydroxide and our butters and oils today, because it's really useful if, like me, you've thought, oh, it's raining, I'm going to go make some soap. I don't want to be up here all day. I don't want to be waiting for things to cool down. So I need to make some of my dog soap, so I'm going to bring you along for the ride. I've already weighed out my coconut oil. I've got 2.2 kilograms of coconut oil. Then I've got my water and my sodium hydroxide. And I've got this is my lavender one. So I've got my lavender oil and my poppy seeds already. So let's crack on. I'll just show you how it works. While I'm doing this, I just want to do a bit of myth busting. You will probably have seen the same as me. Lots of occasions where you're reading that you have to soap between 80 and 120 degrees Fahrenheit, for example, or that your butters and oils have to be within 10 degrees of each other. Absolute rubbish. All of it is rubbish. Everyone has their own way of doing things. Sometimes I soap with my sodium hydroxide at room temperature. Sometimes I might use ice cubes. Sometimes I use it hotter than I should because I'm lazy. And soap is quite resilient. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. The heat transfer method is great if you don't want to be faffing around waiting for your sodium hydroxide solution, your lye solution, to cool down, and you just want to crack on and get the job done. So all we're doing is using the hot lye to melt our butters and oils. Now, obviously I'm just using coconut oil, so all of my oils are hard. However, the coconut has a relatively low melting point, so it's not going to be a problem. It just takes a few minutes, that's all. And all you need to do is just pour your hot sodium hydroxide in and get stirring. If you can grab a knife and make some of these bigger chunks a bit smaller, that's great. If you're using something like cocoa butter, I would definitely start with much smaller pieces because it's got a higher melting point. And yeah, just go for it. Now, if you had a hand whisk, not an electric one, just like a handheld whippy thing, you know what I mean. You could just use that to mix it round. I have got one, but not here. And I forgot to bring it with me, so I'm just going to wing it. I am very much a winger, if I'm honest. Right, so that's some of my bigger chunks made a bit smaller. All I'm going to do is just keep stirring. So not using a blender, because that would not be helpful at this point. Just keep stirring. What I'll do is I'll keep going and I will time how long this particular batch takes, and I will cut this bit out and I'll come back to you shortly. So it's been about 2 or 3 minutes, not long at all. I've just got a few small lumps left in here. And I know you might be panicking, thinking, oh, I've got to get it all done within 2 minutes. You don't. You don't have to do that at all. You've got plenty of time to work with it. And just for your reference, the temperature at the moment is 102 Fahrenheit. So it's not hot. It's a reasonable working temperature. A bit warmer than I would normally do for my coconut oil soap, because I find it tends to crack in the top if I'm not too careful with that. But there's still a few little chunks in here which are melting. We're nearly there though. In fact, they're so small, it isn't really worth me trying to chop them up. I'll be chasing them around with a knife. Yeah, so we'll just keep going on this. And then in a minute, I'll add my essential oils. Depending on how long it takes, I might give it a quick whiz with the blender. I probably will, because I fill my molds right up to the top, so it's a bit easier for me if it's thicker. So I will give it a quick whiz up with the blender, but as long as it's emulsified together, you don't need to do that even. But it's great because it's just a batch of soap made in, 10 minutes? Maybe 12 or 13 by the time you've weighed everything out. If you're making, mine's coconut oil, so I will need to cut it within a couple of hours. But if you're just making a regular batch of multi-butter and oil soap, you can have it made within 15, I'll say 20 minutes, including the washing up, and you're done. So yeah, it's great. Bigger batches, I've never made huge batches using this method, but I don't see a problem with it at all. I wouldn't hesitate to do it if I needed to and I had a big enough bowl. But today I've come up here because it's raining, as I say, and I need to make 4 different varieties, and I only need a small amount of each. So because I hadn't prepped, That's what I'm doing this method for. Right, we're nearly there. So I'm going to pop my essential oils in now before I forget. This is poppy seeds as well, but I will give it a quick blend and thicken it up a bit before I pop my poppy seeds in. Right, poppy seeds in, and I always do this by eye. It's not one of my assessed recipes. It's not for people. It's still quite thin, but I'm not going to keep going because it's really boring for you to sit there watching me blending. So we're not going to do that. I'm just going to pop it in the mould, and then I'll come back and fill it up if I need to. And we'll leave it to do its thing. There we go. A couple of loaves of lavender poppy seed soap washed in 12 or 13 minutes. I'm going to pour the rest of that in once it's set up a little bit. Hope you found that helpful.